go on now. I'd like a motion to put an end to the closed meeting session. There were some directives that were given out in the closed meeting session, and be it resolved that we enter now into the regular meeting of Town Council, seconded by Councillor Grimard. Directives were given, and we'll implement them. All those in agreement? Carried then. Let's go on to the agenda of the regular meeting. Announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Mr. Leon? Yes, Mr. Mayor. Last Saturday, we hosted a ceremony to meet and greet volunteers at Clarence Creek. Mr. Mayor was in attendance and handed out two certificates. Two residents, Francois Vinette, celebrated 40 years of volunteer work. Well, we each handed out a certificate. There was a Mr. André Lalonde that worked 40 years in volunteer work. I'm not the one. I'm not the André Lalonde that gave out the certificate. We have to make sure here. And Francois Vinette, who has worked for the past 50 years in doing volunteer work in the community. It was a very nice evening. Yes, it was. And by the way, the supper was quite good. I missed it because I was attending the baptism of my nephew over in Embrun, or the confirmation ceremony in Embrun. Well, it gave you you didn't have a chance to pull Mercedes's leg. No, but I'm sure you took care of that, Mr. Mayor. The people that were there, of course, celebrated our volunteers, and it shows how important volunteers are. Without volunteers, we have to thank them. Without volunteers, I take a look at the Roger Seguin Center or the winter carnival activities, be it in Bourget or elsewhere. It's important to have volunteers that save us a lot of time and money in doing what they do. Mr. Simard, the Saint Pascal Carnival starts tonight with a family night. Thursday there'll be a movie night. Friday there'll be a hockey tournament and country music. Saturday there'll be a comedy show, and Sunday brunch and the mass, celebratory mass. Fine, Councillor Zant? No, I don't think he's finished yet. I don't think our friend is finished with his announcements. Now, on Monday, there were 12 villages and cities to support the United Counties of Prescott Russell to enlarge Highway 17. Now, to our great surprise, the administration of council had no documentation to hand to the minister. Clarence Rockland gives $11 million to the counties, the United Counties of Prescott and Russell. It seems to me that a $20 booklet explaining our cause and our need to widen or expand Highway 174 would have been of benefit. It was quite disappointing to see this. It was a shame, really, that we didn't have anything to hand over to them. The county was told that they had enough information, and that was given out by the assistant of the Minister of Transportation. But I'm in agreement with you in saying what's not working in all of this. The minister was not up to date with this in regard to this particular matter. It seems, but everyone was. And about a month ago, they met in Kingston with one of the individuals that spoke French, met with Mr. Parisien, Kirby, and Leroux, and Jean-Marc Lalonde set that meeting up. They had occasion to meet and talk about this matter, and I was quite surprised also that we were told that they didn't need information, but Mrs. Mulrooney had not yet been informed. There was a discrepancy somewhere along the line, but we told the United Counties that things should, and can go smoothly next time around. Mr. Cardarelli, I just seize this opportunity, Mr. Mayor, to congratulate a youngster in our community, Eric Guédon, who was awarded the bronze medal at the Youth Winter Games in hockey. So we're very proud of you. Mr. Zant? Or Mr. Guillemot? No, Mr. Zant? Yes, I support Mr. Simard stated. I just like to make the ministry aware that on Saturday, February the 8th, we'll inaugurate the Parc Allée Potvin, the Allée Potvin Park Complex. That's the corner of Saint Jean and Dr. Corbeil. We have a Facebook page, of course, with the cute little penguin up on top. And that gives out immediate information to families who wish to skate there or slide down the hill. And activities will be posted on the Facebook page. So the official opening is on that date. And let's hope that a lot of people do attend and make use of the park. Mrs. Chouanière, I'd like to thank the committee for the work that it did in in helping us to obtain a $500 grant. And this helps us to demystify the role of town councilors, and we received a grant from the AFMO, and we're trying to raise further funds. I think it's important, and there will be a fundraising activity to be held very soon to a campaign to encourage women to get involved further into local politics at the municipal level and otherwise. I sit on the AFMO committee. It was discussed. They gave out $5,000. The AFMO had financial difficulties. You'd initially asked $5,000, but they did give you $2,500. I believe that the Quebec Association of Municipalities also is hosting a similar type day to encourage women to take part in municipal policies, and we're obtaining, hopefully, we'll try to tap into further resources, financial and otherwise, to help us further the cause of involving women in municipal politics. As you know, Mr. Zant, Mr. Cardarelli, Mrs. Collier, and myself, we went to Toronto. We split out into two delegations. We met with Mr. Steve Clark, a minister there. It was a very positive meeting. He was quite in favor of the community hub that we were touting. That's a project that will ensure 70% worth of grants to build this project. If we don't have a grant, we won't build it because it's a $15 million project. So this is something that will bring us to, the project calls upon including the Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena. This is something that we have to do. This is a complex that we have to do something with. It would give us money to renovate the Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena, and we have accessibility provisions that have to be added on to the existing complexes. This is something that would be quite positive for us, and let me guarantee that Mr. Clark, I can tell you that Mr. Clark told us it was quite positive, and we mentioned money for flood purposes. This is an ongoing project. We're dealing with a new government. We brought forth other applications. We asked further questions. We were wondering whether we were going to get some amounts that we initially asked for. We asked money for CIF purposes. This is an amount that we received from the province. Last year they talked about cutting these grants, and they approved us for the year 2020. And we were told when we were down there that we'd be approved for 2021. This is great news because we're talking about over and above $600,000 that would otherwise, if we did not receive that money, create a huge hole or gap in our budget. We met with the environment people down there also. We came out feeling with a very positive feeling. They had great questions of us that we gave good answers to. Mr. Ford also gave a speech, but it was a very, very fruitful 3 day outing for the municipality. Maybe, Mr. Mayor, what was proposed, let's just mention that what was proposed was an idea. It's not anything that's concrete because some people have already said that we should put money there instead of there. This is a unity, this is an idea, just a concept. Yes, we put forward a plan. We didn't have much time. Department heads worked very hard to implement or to fine tune this plan because we were close to the deadline. We'll know as of February if we qualify, and we'll only know in June if we receive the grant that we've sought. There's a lot of money put in that pot, and we'd like to thank our department heads. They did great work. It's a very worthwhile project. As Mrs. Joignard has mentioned, it might not be exactly the project that we're claiming ought to be implemented. There might be some consultants involved saying that it might cost too much or to implement all of those ins and outs that we need to implement. But in any event, we'll know in the future whether we get grant money or not. Question period. If anyone has any questions concerning any item that appears on the agenda tonight, please go forward. Step forward to the mic and give me your name and your address. You know how things work. My name is Roland Labonté. I'd just like to ask that how come I don't have all of my documentation? Well, you have to address the department head for that. I asked him. Well, look, if you're asking client services, you'll be charged a fee and you'll obtain the documents that you need. Why do I have to attend to town hall and pay for this? When you want something from Toronto, Mr. Mayor, everything's paid up and they don't go on the computer to obtain the documents that you need. And now you're saying that you have to go to in the computer to obtain documents. Well, you don't go on the computer. Well, look, you can obtain those copies on a computer if you have a computer. Yeah, but there's a cost that we have to bear, and it's an extra. That's all. So you have to pay for those costs. Yeah, these are costs, Mr. Mayor. But why? Well, why? Well, there's time, the employee's time involved, paper, to print out what you need. Well, sir, it's all in the computer. Mr. Labonté, listen, sir, that's how we function. This is the bylaw that mandates that this is how it should be done. You have nothing to hide, do you? Well, we don't have anything to hide, sir. It's you can access what you need at the computer. Any other questions, Mr. Labonté? That's it. I just wanted to know why I needed to pay a certain fee to obtain the documents I needed. You know, you go to Toronto, you can obtain documents at no charge, and I have to go to the municipality and I have to pay fees to obtain or costs to obtain a document. I mean, yeah, why don't? That's what our tax money is for? Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's fine. I'd just like to know where our tax money goes to. My daughter is in the process of fixing up her ditch, and during the springtime, they'll perform work on the ditch, and we'll see ourselves in court again. Well, this is not on tonight's agenda. Look, each and every time I'm asking you if this is on the agenda or not, you've never put this item on the agenda. How long have I asked you to put this on the agenda? Even then, when I appeared in front of the United Counties of Prescott Russell, they didn't even entertain my request. Even the Township of Alfred Plantagenet. Let's go on. Item 9.1. Thank you. Council members' items, members' resolution presented by Councillor Jean Joignard. Whereas we'd like to have members of the community to take part in community projects at part of the costs paid by the municipality. Be it resolved that Town Council accept that Councillor Jean Joignard approach the Community Centre of Bourget to encourage them to oversee community grants concerning the skating rink located at the École Sacré-Cœur de Bourget. Fine. I'd just like to add something. I approached Mr. Jean René also. Is a school board trustee to determine how much the school board is willing to contribute to that, because that's a sizable amount. $30,000, and he's in the process at this point in time to obtain or to take necessary steps to obtain money from the town council. Fine. All those in favor? Carried. Item 9.2, another member's resolution presented by myself and seconded by Councillor Guillemard. Whereas the Ontario Fire College concluded an agreement in protocol with the City of Claremont and Rockland to implement a fire regional training center offered by auxiliary trainers, and whereas the City of Claremont and Rockland Regional Training Center established set fees for courses that will cover operational costs with the Ontario Fire College, including instructors' fees and tools needed, and whereas the City of Claremont and Rockland likes to encourage surrounding municipalities to take part in the training offered by the Fire Regional Training Center for Claremont and Rockland, be it resolved that the City of Claremont and Rockland encourage all surrounding municipalities to support the firefighters' training at the Fire Regional Training Center, and be it resolved that a letter be sent to all neighboring municipalities asking them to adopt a resolution that will support their individual firefighting services, follow training offered by, or obtain training offered by the Fire Regional Training Center of Claremont and Rockland. This is something that will save a lot of money for all municipalities involved. If you need training, you had to attend the Ravenhurst Center. Ravenhurst, my God, that was a tongue twister, wasn't it? Yes, all right, Ravenhurst. So you have to pay 5 days worth of lodgings down there and mileage to get there. But offering this training here, certainly during the weekends, you don't have any hotels and motels to pay, no mileage involved, and more people can get involved in all of this and take part in this. Yes, thank you. Let's go on now to consent items. Are there any items that you'd like to withdraw from the list of consent items that are before you? Mr. Bouchard, I'll have you read the list of consent items. Mr. Levat is not here. Firstly, I'd like Mr. Mayor to give me the opportunity for once to read the consent items. Now, be it resolved that the items listed under consent items be adopted. 10.1, adoption of the minutes of the following meetings. A regular meeting, December 16th, 2019. Committee of the Whole, December 16th, 2019. Item 10.2, receipt of the minutes of the following meetings. A Committee of Adjustment, November 27th, 2019, and Library Board meeting, December 19th, 2019. Item 10.3, the following recommendations from Committee of the Whole of December 16th, 2019. A resolution to support the application for leave to the Supreme Court of Canada by the City of Dieppe. B. A resolution to establish a $50,000 budget from the building reserve to carry out environmental studies on 2 properties in tax arrears. And C. Resolution to approve the 2020 capital projects in 2 phases. Item 10.4, resolution to recognize the 50th edition of the Clarence Creek Lions Club Carnival as an event of municipal significance. 10.5, resolution to adopt the salaries paid from December 1st, 2019 to December 28th, 2019 in the gross amount of $938,816.13 and net amount of $668,111.44, and a resolution to adopt the tax reductions under Section 357, 358 of the Municipal Acts. You did quite well, Mr. Bouchard. Congratulations. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Choinière. Thank you then. Let's go on now to item 11.1. Mr. Simard, be it resolved that the accounts pay for the period of the 9th December to the 13th of January in the amount of $10,298,093 be adopted as recommended. Seconded by Councillor Zant. Any questions? All those in favor? I just have a question here. Yes, the appreciation supper, what was that for? Well, each and every year, we host an appreciation supper for a particular member. Yes, all those in favor then? Carried, thank you. Item 11.2, Mr. Lalonde, be it resolved that bylaw 2020-06 authorizing the mayor and the clerk giving a prolongation with Colliers Graders for the building of the 2 fire stations, seconded by Mr. Cardarelli. Any questions? Mr. Guillemot? I don't know if anybody can answer me as to this. Mr. Villeneuve, maybe you'd be aware. Now, this was supposed to be delivered in September 2019. Now will be extended for a second or a third time. A third time. That brings us to May 2020. I'd like to know how much it costs us. I know there's a procedure involved in all of this, but how much does it cost us to extend controls from a financial level? Are there any? Uh, I don't know. Well, there's not much more than the fees asked for by Colliers. All others are contained within approved budgetary constraints. Well, are there any other costs? Well, apart from Colliers. Well, how much is the amount for the extension? I just like to know, since September of 2019, how much it cost us for a project that's late right now to continue managing it. Well, we haven't recouped that amount. No. Yes, but that doesn't that it's not applicable to the Collier situation, but it does have a bearing on paying this. Well, the amount that is sought for tonight is for the extension work. Well, $13,000 for the management of the project from February to May. Then, yes, that's right. I think that I have no problem, actually, Mr. Mayor, with any of this. I know that we can hold back money, and there are procedures to do that will allow us to do so. And I hope that we'll hold our end as to that. We'll hold on to our position. If there are some delays, not caused by us, but by the firm that's involved, it has taken more time that has been originally forecasted. We're talking about an 8-month delay, and we're looking forward to obtain our fire station. I'm in agreement with you, Mr. Guillemot. There aren't all that many employees there. There has been a change of supervisor on the work site. There were some delays that were not of our doing. But we know that when the time will come to recuperate that money, we'll have to defend ourselves. I believe that the Bouchette project went very smoothly, and now we're faced with this situation with this last fire station to be completed, and it's frustrating. Yes. Well, Mrs. Collier, do we have any rental uh, deal? Well, it's a long-term contract that was arrived at with this consultant. So we're not talking about a loss, it's just deferred. We're dealing with deferred costs. We didn't receive any grant money concerning this project. We're not talking about a loss per se, we're just talking about a deferred cost situation more than anything else. Any other questions? All those in favor? Fine, thank you. Yes, that's fine. All right. All right then. Bylaws. Are there any bylaws you'd like to withdraw from the list of bylaws, Mr. Cardarelli? Be it resolved that the following bylaws be adopted. Item 12.1, 2020-02. I'm sorry, that's a tongue twister right there. Removal of part lot control, block 287, plan 50M-308, Mr. Mayor, and 12.2, bylaw 2020-04, user fees amendment, schedule J. Seconded by Councillor Guillemot. Questions? All those in favor? Carried then. Fine. Confirmatory bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-03 be deemed a confirmatory bylaw for the regular meeting of Town Council held on the 22nd of January 2020. Seconded by Councillor Joignard. Thank you. Adjournment called at 7:38 p.m. Thank you.